Your phone may already contain a SIM card you can never remove, never touch, and may never notice. For decades, mobile connection began with a tiny piece of plastic. You opened a tray with a metal pin, placed the card inside, and hoped it sat correctly. If you traveled abroad, you might swap it at an airport just to get mobile data. But what if that card disappeared? No tray, no plastic, no swapping, yet the phone still connects in seconds. That is the idea behind the eSIM, a SIM you cannot hold. If there is no removable card, how does the network know who you are? To answer that, we first need to understand what the old SIM was really doing. Let's get into it right here on Secrets of Simple Things. The tiny card that gave phones an identity. A SIM card is not mainly about storage. SIM stands for Subscriber Identity Module, and its real job is identity. It tells the mobile network which user, number, and account are allowed to connect. Without a SIM or something that performs the same function, a phone can still take photos, open apps, and use Wi-Fi. But it cannot normally join a cellular network as your phone, with your number and your plan. Think of the phone as the body, and the SIM as its passport. That tiny card separated the user from the device. You could move your number from one phone to another without losing your mobile identity. In a world where early phones were often tied closely to carriers, that freedom mattered. So the SIM card was never just an accessory. It was proof that the phone belonged to a specific mobile account. But as phones became thinner and more crowded inside, that little passport became a design problem. Why the SIM kept shrinking. SIM cards did not shrink just to look more modern. They shrank because phones were changing around them. The earliest SIM cards were almost the size of a credit card. Then came the mini SIM, the micro SIM, and finally the nano SIM. With each version, more plastic disappeared until almost only the essential contact area remained. To users, it looked like the card was simply getting smaller. But to engineers, each shrink was a way to save a little more room inside a device where every millimeter matters. The problem was that the SIM card was never just the card. Even a nano SIM still needed a tray, contacts, alignment, and an opening in the phone's body. So while the card kept getting smaller, the physical system around it did not disappear. That created the next question. If the useful part of a SIM was already so tiny, why did it still need to be removable at all? When devices became too small for cards. That question became even more important when cellular connection moved beyond smartphones. A removable SIM makes sense in a phone you can hold, open, and repair, but it makes much less sense in a smartwatch on your wrist, a car dashboard, a laptop, or a sensor sealed inside a machine. In those devices, the problem is not only space, it is access. You do not want to open part of a card just to change a mobile plan. You do not want a tiny sensor in a factory, a meter, or a delivery tracker to depend on someone physically inserting a plastic card. For millions of connected devices, the old SIM model became awkward. Each card had to be produced, shipped, inserted, replaced, and managed by hand. So engineers stopped asking, how small can we make the SIM? And started asking a better question. Can the SIM's identity be installed without touching a card at all? What an eSIM actually is. An eSIM may sound like a SIM floating somewhere in the cloud, but that is not quite true. The E stands for embedded. An eSIM is still a real chip, but instead of sitting on a removable plastic card, it is built directly into the device. It is soldered inside the phone, watch, laptop, or car, where the user normally never sees it. Its job is familiar, but the way it works feels very different. Like a traditional SIM, it helps the carrier authenticate your mobile subscription. But instead of arriving as a plastic card, that subscription can be installed as a digital profile. With a physical SIM, the carrier profile is already on the card you insert. With an eSIM, that profile is downloaded digitally. You may scan a QR code, use a carrier app, or follow an activation process in settings. Once installed, the profile tells the device which network it belongs to. A physical SIM is like a key you insert. An eSIM is like a lock that can download a new key. Some devices can store multiple eSIM profiles, such as a personal number, a work number, and a travel plan. Not all can run them at once, but switching becomes a software action instead of a physical one. The convenience of a SIM without plastic. The power of eSIM is not one dramatic trick. It removes a small ritual people use to accept as normal. With a physical SIM, starting a new plan might mean waiting for a card in the mail, visiting a store, finding a SIM ejector pin, opening the tray, and hoping the card is the right size. If the card was lost, damaged, or delayed, the whole process slowed down. With eSIM, the annoying part can become a setup step on the screen. You still need a carrier. You still need a valid plan. But the plastic handoff is no longer the center of the process. Travelers notice this most clearly. Instead of landing in a new country and searching for a SIM counter, they can often buy a travel plan before the trip and activate it when they arrive. And for people who use more than one number, eSIM can make switching between personal, work, or travel plans feel less like changing a part and more like changing a setting. Why phone makers want the SIM tray? Gone. For phone makers, the SIM tray is more than a tiny slot on the side. It is one more opening in a device they are trying to make thinner, stronger, and more sealed. A tray needs a cut in the frame. It needs small moving parts. It needs contacts to line up correctly. It needs a seal to keep out water and dust. None of these problems are huge by themselves, but modern phones are built from small compromises. Removing the tray does not suddenly create a giant empty space, but it can simplify the body. It can reduce one weak point. It can give engineers a little more freedom when arranging the battery, antennas, circuit board, and internal frame. That is why eSIM is attractive to manufacturers. It does not just remove a piece of plastic from the user's hand. It removes an entire physical doorway from the device. But when that doorway disappears, something else changes too. Control. Security, control, and the trade-off. One advantage of eSIM is security. With a physical SIM, a thief can remove the card and disconnect the phone from the cellular network almost immediately. With an eSIM, there is no card to pull out. The mobile identity stays inside the device, so the phone may remain connected longer. That can help with location tracking, remote locking, or wiping data before the device disappears. But the trade-off is control. With a physical SIM, the user holds the key. If one phone breaks, you can often move the card into another phone in seconds. With eSIM, the transfer may depend on an app, an account login, a verification code, or customer support. Some carriers make this easy, others make it frustrating. In some places, buying a physical SIM from a small shop is still simpler. This is the hidden cost of turning objects into software. The object becomes cleaner, but you depend more on the system behind it. From plastic cards to invisible services. The eSIM is part of a larger pattern. Many physical things are quietly turning into services. Music moved from discs to streaming apps. Airline tickets became codes on screens. Money moved from coins and bills to digital payments. The SIM card is moving in the same direction. The important job is still there. The network still needs to know which subscription is allowed to connect. But the thing you used to hold in your hand is becoming something you install, switch, and manage on a screen. That feels small, but it changes the relationship. You no longer just own a tiny card. You depend on the system that activates it. The connected future beyond phones. The biggest future of eSIM may not be inside smartphones at all. Phones made eSIM familiar, but many other devices need cellular connection. A car may need mobile data for navigation, emergency calls, diagnostics, and updates. A smartwatch can make calls or stream music without a nearby phone. A laptop can stay online without depending on public Wi-Fi. Then there are quieter machines, medical devices, security cameras, vending machines, delivery trackers, industrial sensors, and smart utility meters. If millions of machines must be shipped, activated, moved, or switched between networks, physical SIM cards become a logistical burden. eSIM makes them easier to manage remotely. It does not just make phones more convenient, it helps ordinary objects step into the mobile network. So the disappearance of the SIM card is not really an ending. it is a redesign. The SIM card did not die. For years, mobile connection began with a tiny piece of plastic. You could hold it, drop it, insert it the wrong way, or swap it at an airport before starting a trip. It was small, easy to forget, and strangely important. Without it, the phone in your hand could not fully become your phone. Now that same function can live inside a hidden chip and a digital profile. You may never open a tray, touch a card, or think about the identity system working behind the screen. But the phone still needs it every time it joins a cellular network. That is the real story of eSIM. Not the death of the SIM, but its disappearance from sight. As technology becomes more familiar, it often becomes less visible. The SIM card is not really gone. It has simply become one more simple thing working quietly where we can no longer see it. If this tiny invisible SIM surprised you, subscribe for more stories about the simple things hiding in everyday life. And if there is another object, tool, or technology you want us to explore next, leave it in the comments. Your idea might inspire a future episode.